We were asked the question, was Jesus vegan? And if so, doesn't it perpetuate non-vegan eating? And the answer is no and no. There's nothing in the Bible that absolutely proves that Jesus was vegan. What there is proof that he was absolutely vegetarian as the world sees vegetarianism now, because he may have eaten dairy products like cheese and honey, which are non-vegan. So, but does it perpetuate non-vegan eating? And the answer is no, it doesn't, because he didn't eat any animals, and that's very obvious. So we know that that is true. And from the historical evidence we have, there were a lot of vegetarians at that time in that region, but they also probably ate cheese and honey. But you also have to remember that dairy cows lived probably 25 years instead of 5 years in those days. So the reason is that they didn't try to manipulate the animals to produce more and more and more and more. What the animal produced was what God's gift was. And I believe that animals were treated much better in those days. So we have to look at some of that to understand. And there were also, a lot that used the goats, goat's milk. I don't hear much about sheep's milk, but, about goat's milk, yes. So we have to understand that about the times. But that doesn't mean that we can't improve on what was done, because Jesus even said, greater works than these shall you do. Why? Because he understood that the world keeps improving. Technologically, it may not improve ethically or godly, but it is improving technically. And in those days, he had to know how to project his voice from a hilltop down a valley so people could hear him, or from a boat so that he could speak to people on the shoreline. And that takes a strong voice to do that, because there were no microphones. There were no radios, there was no television, there was no internet. And we use all of that. Our whole ministry is built on the internet. So we have to understand that I can reach more people than Jesus did. Every one of us can, if we want to. And we can also have a greater choice in our food. So it's much easier to be vegan today and to be living in God's heavenly will. People use whatever they can to make an excuse to be evil, and that's eating meat. And if you look at and understand what the Bible is teaching us, that's causing pain, suffering, and death. And the problem is, it's not only that it's bad for the animals, it's bad for us because it hardens our heart. So do people use that Jesus wasn't a vegan as an excuse? Absolutely. People would use anything. People who use lies and follow liars, because they want to live in that ungodly type of world, because they enjoy what's there, or they have friends that are there. We're not to be like that. We're to be God's children who live in his heavenly will. Amen.